DocTalk is brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, Sure Trace Mineral Supplementation by Timed Injection.
Hi there, folks. Welcome to DocTalk. Man, I'm glad that you joined us today. We have Dr. Dave Rethorst here from Kansas State University, and we're going to talk about what to do with those open cows and cows that are non-pregnant. It's bound to be a great show. Dr. Dave's always a great guest to have on the show. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you here in a minute.
We're cow-calf producers from Northeast Colorado. We run about 300 commercial cows and calves and sell them at the sale barn in October.
Since we've been given multi-min, our reproduction rate is about 95%, which is pretty good for grassland, and we run bulls and we do not AI.
That means an extra 15 calves at sale time. We've been using the multi-min product for 3 years. We are really happy with it and recommend it to anybody in this business.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value. This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Normoss in LA, Normectrin Plus, 1% and Poron, the practical choice for your herd. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Dan.
Good to have you here, Dr. Dave. Folks, this is Dr. Dave Rethorst, and he is a faculty member at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, where he works at the Beef Cattle Institute, and he is the director of outreach and has had a little bit of experience on pregnancy testing cows and sleeving cows in his, how many years?
35 years.
35 years of bovine practice. So somebody that has a lot of experience, has a lot of practical field experience, and we're going to talk about pregnancy. So let's just start out with it. Dave, why do we preg check?
Well, Dan, you got to go back and remember that marketing of our cull cows can account for 15, sometimes 20% of the cash income for a cow herd in a year's time. So we need to make sure that we get those cows identified early and get them marketed where they produce the most income for the ranch.
You bet. And so does the earlier detection or later detection, what are some of the reasons or economics behind getting that earlier detection?
Well, historically, our cull cow market is good in September and October, and then when everybody starts weaning, the October, November, December, when the corn picking's done and everything else, we get a glut of cull cows on the market, and the bottom drops out of the market. So if we can get the cows identified early and get them marketed before we hit that November, December time frame, we're better off as far as cash income.
How early, we put the bulls in the summer and we take the bulls out or we AI, how soon are you talking about? What's early diagnosis?
Well, in heifers particularly, we can go down with the use of ultrasound, we can go down to 30 days after we pull the bull out and detect those pregnancies, which is great on the yearling heifers because then we can get them marketed and get them into a feed lot, and we can still have carcasses that will grade along with the steers.
Right,
because
so
they're young enough.
Yep. So that's something important on the heifers, is just putting them in the normal cattle feeding situation and off we go.
Right.
If they're not bred.
If they're not bred, if a person doesn't have ultrasound, typically we can start 35, 40 days after the bull's out. 60 fits a lot of people's time schedule.
So waiting a couple months and doing that.
Right.
Well, it's a great start to the show. Great topic, one that's pretty timely, one that you have a lot of experience with, and one I'm sure a lot of our viewers do as well. We're going to come back with Dr. Dave Rethorst after the break, talk a little bit more about what you do with those open cows. You're watching DocTalk. See you in a minute.
This segment was brought to you by Brute Cattle Equipment, makers of the Brute Stealth Hydraulic Chute. If the chute fits, swear by it. Visit our website for more information. And by Lalaman Animal Nutrition, dedicated to the development and production of natural and differential solutions for animal nutrition.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Getting ready to work cattle for pre-breeding and calf vaccinations? There's no better time to use a safe, modified live virus vaccine to prevent BRD. Titanium provides the correct equation for BRD with its excellent safety profile and a strong response and long duration of immunity. Ask your veterinarian about modified live virus vaccines and the 8 convenient combinations of titanium for the perfect pairing of performance and value.
Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel, or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road. This segment is brought to you by Rotomix, manufactured in the USA and designed for feeding performance in the feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson and Dr. Dave Rethorst from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. We're having a great discussion this morning about open cows and what to do with them. But let's talk a little bit about why they happen.
Well, several reasons. Most common reason would be nutrition, that the cows aren't in good enough shape going into breeding season. We need to have these cows in a 5 to 5.5 condition score going into breeding season, and if we drop below that at the beginning of breeding season, you can just, looking back at records, that if you have a 4, there's just about 5% more of those open than if they're a 5, and just goes right on down the line.
So getting good cover, and I think it's important to know that the cover and the fat, helps drive normal physiology.
Right.
And whether, regardless of the species, so having them in that good condition score, drought situations, not weaning the calves on time, different things to that nature can all play a role.
All play a role.
Okay, so there's some management. Age of the cow have anything to do with it?
Age of the cow will have something to do with it. Historically, our 2-year-old cows that are just weaning their first calf are our biggest problem on getting them bred back, just because they're young, they're still growing, trying to get enough nutrition in them where they'll milk for that calf and breed back is tough to do. If we can get those bred back, we'll have a little bit of a fallout as 3-year-olds. But then when we start getting into that 9 and 10-year-old cow, our pregnancy rates start dropping off again.
Sure, and then the one that we probably, the first two are management and understanding that those heifers are still growing, even though they have a calf, and that we've got to get the right amount of groceries in them. But then this last one, disease, biosecurity. What are some of the diseases that you vaccinate for, or you think about when you think about open cows?
Well, historically, everybody vaccinates for Vibrio and Lepto.
Right.
In 35 years of practice, I never diagnosed a case of Vibrio. So I really question sometimes if we need to, although it's an accepted practice, so that's fine. But I think more important than the Vibrio is BVD. BVD can cause open cows, it can cause weak calves, and persistently infected calves causes sick calves in the feed yard. So BVD is important. The other big one that I never thought I'd see in the state of Kansas when I graduated from veterinary school was trichomoniasis, and we thought it was a mountain disease, a cooperative grazing situation disease, but the last few years we've seen it in Kansas and Nebraska, and I've seen 8 herds in the last 4 years. But it's a biosecurity issue. You need to watch what you're doing.
Excellent. Well, aside from all those, making sure your bulls
making sure the bull's fertile.
That's right. Folks, it's a great discussion. We've talked about when to preg. We've talked about what causes some of these open cows. When we come back, we'll talk about the disposition and things that you can do on marketing these open cows. You're watching Doc Talk. We'll be back in a minute.
Beef producers need a practical choice when antibiotic therapy is required. More than ever, they are reaching for non-prescription Noromycin 300 LA from Norbrook, specially formulated to produce sustained antibiotic blood levels up to 4 days in cattle. Noromycin 300 LA delivers economic, broad-spectrum disease management for pneumonia, shipping fever, pink eye, wound infections, and foot rot. See for yourself why Norbrook's Noromycin 300 LA is the practical choice for your herd.
Got cattle? Rotomix manufactures a complete line of energy-efficient rotary and vertical feed mixers for feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Our mixers are available with the patented Generation 2 staggered rotor, the industry standard for feeding wet rations that include wet distiller's grain. Made in the USA, Rotomix mixers are designed for feeding performance that American cattlemen and dairy producers have come to expect. Rotomix, proud to offer a better mix in less time using less fuel.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by Fink Beef Genetics. Our 23rd annual bull sale featuring 400 Angus and Charolais bulls is Wednesday, October 30th. Contact us at 785-293-5106 for more information and to be added to our mailing list.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and I'm joined here by my friend and colleague at the Beef Cattle Institute, Dr. Dave Rethorst, who is a private practitioner in South Central Nebraska for 35 years. He practices in Kansas and Nebraska currently, and we're tickled to death to have him on the show. And we're talking about a topic, 20% of the revenue of our cow-calf operations.
Cow-calf operations, 15 to 20%
come from cull cows.
Come from cull cows. So we've got to get it done right.
Yep. So how we market those cows can be important.
Right. All right. And as we talked on earlier, getting the yearling heifer preg checked early, getting them in the feedlot, we're maximizing the income off of that heifer by doing that. If we can get the cows preg checked early, and get them on that September, October market, that's still a pretty decent market. We're in good shape as far as dollars per pound of cow. Now, if we get into November, December, that we talked about how the bottom falls out of that market because of the glut of cows on the market, and a lot of people will delay marketing those cows they identify in November and December until we get into January, February, which is typically the highest time of the year as far as cull cow market. The thing we've got to watch there is that, you know, if those cows are in a 5.5 to 6 condition score in November, December, my philosophy is you ought to go ahead and market them in November, December, because they aren't going to get any better condition score than that. So we're going to end up with more net dollars that way than if we hold them till January or February and they lose 100 pounds. We might get more per hundredweight, but we're getting less total dollars. So we need to take a good look at that.
Well, and those cows that have the more body condition on them are not going to be as efficient if you put them on grain or something like that. Right. They're going to feed it at a 9 or 10 feed efficiency versus these thinner cows that'll come in and feed at a 5, 6. Maybe a 6.
Right. But it goes back, if you're going to feed cows before you sell them, they need to be thin cows and you get the most efficient gain.
Yep. And part of the reason why people feed cows is that white fat market. Right. And what we mean by white fat is cows that have been on grass have more of a yellow tint from the beta carotene. in the fat, and when we put them on a grain diet, it bleaches that fat or turns it to white. Right. So, other options, well, corn prices probably play a little role in this too. $8 corn and a beef cold cows.
Not a good deal.
But corn, unfortunately, fortunate for the cattle feeder, unfortunate for the corn producer, we're going to see a reverse in that.
Right. We are seeing that, and I think it's probably going to go lower from what I've been reading.
Yeah. But I think that understanding your corn price, understanding your input costs, understanding what you potentially could gain in an animal that's already in good body condition score versus one that's thin, all things and factors you need to roll into before you're going to delay marketing or put them in that white fat market.
Right. Run a pencil on it, do a partial budget, figure out what's best, get you the most net dollars.
Great. When we come back, we'll wrap up on cull cows and selling open cows with Dr. Dave Rethorst.
This segment is brought to you by Purple Wave Auction, the easiest, most straightforward way to sell used equipment. Purple Wave, straight, simple, sold.
This is Agriculture Today from Kansas State University. Livestock trailers are on the move in the fall as producers are transporting their animals more actively at this time of the year. Assuring a safe trip on our rural roads should be a high priority, according to Kansas State's Carrie Ebert. That in part means checking that all livestock transport equipment is up to snuff.
We're moving cattle from pasture to pasture or pasture to home. Check those lights on the trailer before you start out. I mean, you may only be moving them a mile or two. I understand all of the troubles with keeping lights functioning on stock trailers. Right. It is a challenge, but making sure those work will go a long way towards helping ease, some of that road rage.
This is K-State Research and Extension.
Cow-calf, stocker, and feedlot producers know that effective parasite control improves overall herd performance and profitability. Norbrook offers a comprehensive, economical line of pour-on and injectable parasiticides for every livestock operation. Consult with your local animal health supplier to set up a program that protects your investment and brings larger cattle checks this fall. See for yourself why the Noromectin line from Norbrook is the practical choice for your herd.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
In the last 3 years, we've changed some things in our AI protocol, one of which was the use of multi-min. We've seen a significant increase in our AI pregnancy rate. The cost of an embryo program is significant, and we feel that if we were able to even get one more pregnancy out of a cow, that would pay for the whole cost of the whole bottle of multi-min right there.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Dave Rethorst. We both work at the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University. We've been talking about what to do with those open cows. And we've talked about when to preg, which cows and heifers are going to be more of the trouble. We've talked about some of the reasons why we have animals that are open, and then we've talked about marketing those cull cows or open cows. And in this day and age of animal welfare practices and hidden cameras and let's throw all that aside. let's talk about doing the right thing. And I always talk to people about, if you're going to market an animal, it should be something you'd be proud enough to put your picture on there with him or her on the front page of the paper.
Yep, on the front page of the paper, or if it was something you'd feed your own family.
Yep, great comparisons.
If you're not going to feed it to your own kids, why sell it to somebody else to feed to their kids?
Yeah.
You know, we want to make sure that these cows are in good condition score. We need, my personal thoughts, we need a minimum of a 3, 3.5. I'd prefer a 4 as a minimum going to market.
For body condition score?
For body condition score.
Absolutely. You know, and some of these animals, first of all, they got to be able to walk.
Right.
You can't ship a non-ambulatory animal.
Right. Well, it's against the law to ship a non-ambulatory animal.
Absolutely. And let's not ship the ones that you know, if you think they're going to go down on the truck.
Right. I've worked enough sale barn work that, you know, some of these cows come in to go through and they're so thin you can't even get them through the chute. So if you try to tag them, they go down, and you end up dragging them out of the chute and euthanizing those animals. And you just as well do that on the ranch rather than bring them to town.
Yep. And we have to remember that what we do in a public setting, that we put the auction markets in a terrible situation when we bring those animals that aren't of quality. We put them in a pretty precarious situation, and we understand that they are a great tool for marketing cattle in this country.
Right.
But they're not a lymph node for weak and disabled cattle. Those animals either need to be treated and recovered or euthanized.
Or euthanized on the ranch. And you know, even ones that can make it through, you know, like the cancer eyes or some of these clinical Yonis cows or things like that, you know, that just shouldn't be in the food chain.
Well, they wind up being condemned when they get to slaughter.
Right.
So why put the animal or the people through it?
Right.
Most people, we got to remember, are doing the right thing. We're just talking about educating and moving the industry and improving.
We've got to get a little bit better every day, as Coach Snyder says.
You and Coach Snyder got that right. Folks, thanks for watching DocTalk today. Dr. Dave, thanks for being with us.
Good to be here.
Great to have you on the show. Great show, great information. Remember, always work with your local practitioner. If you want to know more about what we do here at Kansas State University, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. You've been watching DocTalk. I'm certainly glad that you joined us today. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson from Kansas State University, and I'll see you down the road. Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
DocTalk, produced in cooperation with Drovers Cattle Network and Bovine Veterinarian. For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, Sure Trace Mineral Supplementation by Timed Injection.
My name's Tim Todd. Along with my wife Chris, we own and operate Green Mountain Angus Ranch out of Rygate, Montana. We've been in the Angus business for about 30 years now. We sell about 350 bulls a year. We have a production sale in the fall, the third Friday in November. And we have a private treaty sale in the spring. We've been using the Multimin product for about 7 years now. We started using it off the recommendation of our embryologist. He suggested that we give our recip cows a shot prior to putting embryos in. We had a real good conception rate that spring, and we've been using the product ever since. This area of Montana can be a little deficient in copper. That's one of the 3 main minerals in Multimin, and so with that we brought our copper levels in our cattle up to where they need to be. We've seen an increase of 5 to 6% in our conception rate in our AI program. You start getting 30 to 40 more AI calves in a year. We're showing a huge return by using the product in those regards. We give our cows a shot of Multimin pre-calving for the immune system of the unborn calf. She will transfer the minerals into the unborn calf through the blood system. When the calf is born, he has a high level of mineral in his liver, which will help with his immune system. In our particular operation, we lease a lot of pasture, so it's real important for these cattle to stay healthy. We don't get the opportunity to check them like we'd like to. The least sickness, the least foot rot we have, the better off we are. So with the use of multi-min, that's two of the big benefits we've seen. Healthier cattle, less maintenance.